The death of a teenager at a fraternity has a fraternity making changes to be more responsible on the Iowa campus.
I tell him he's going down a dark road.
A dark road. That's how the younger brother describes what is happening to the man who police say impersonated a missing child. And a man whose friends put messages on their vehicles may have found him a new kidney.
You're watching KCRG TV 9. Now, from your 24-hour news source, this is KCRG TV 9 News at 10.
We kind of have that mindset that, we're going to go day by day, but we're going to have each other's backs, hold each other accountable.
The death of a University of Iowa teenager has brought change to one of the school's fraternities. Sigma Chi fraternity brothers say the death of Camille Jakowski in 2017 pushed them to take more responsibility for themselves and each other. Jakowski died during a Sigma Chi formal at Lake of the Ozarks in Missouri. He was 19 years old and from the Chicago area. Authorities have not released the cause of death, but it prompted the University of Iowa to crack down on alcohol use in the Greek community. Since then, the university has banned multiple fraternities for violating the rules, but Sigma Chi hasn't received any further sanctions. KCRG TV 9 Chantal Navarro spoke to Sigma Chi about what that fraternity is doing differently.
Beth, the group says it feels fortunate to still be on campus after Jakowski died. They weren't allowed to recruit new members, and the brothers were in mourning. But they say they've taken their grief and turned it into a positive, lasting change.
You don't wish it upon anyone.
Blake Wilshire has grown up a lot since losing his friend, Camille Jakowski.
As a group, we had to learn the hard way that nobody is invincible.
His electric personality is why Wilshire says his death hit him and the rest of Sigma Chi so hard.
When you hung out with Camille, you knew you were in good company. He always cared about you. He never had bad things to say about other people. He was always just so positive.
The university's response to his death was swift and far-reaching. Sigma Chi still is not allowed to have alcohol at any of its events, and members say they are striving to be more safe and responsible.
We realize that we're not the only ones out here. You have to look around for your best friends, everyone around you. Just be more conscious of the things that are going on around you.
While they can't change what happened, they are determined not to forget Jakowski. So they started a fundraiser, a flag football tournament.
He would love it. He was one of the best football players in the house, stud athlete. I know he's watching, and I'll be smiling like he always was.
This is the event's second year, and double the number of people are participating, which they hope translates into twice the cash going toward a student scholarship at his alma mater, Hersey High School in Arlington Heights, Illinois.
When we graduate someday, to come back as alumni, and this event will still be going and growing.
And they believe the growth they've made around safety will also be a part of Sigma Chi legacy.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed, so I think he's still living through me, even though he's not here physically.
The flag football tournament will be at 1 p.m. Sunday at Hubbard Park in Iowa City, after a high school student who embodies what Jakowski stood for in life, hard work and dedication, will be picked to receive the money. Beth?
Thank you, Chantal. Now here's meteorologist Justin Gerst with a check of your first alert forecast.
We are going to be seeing a cloudy sky during the overnight hours. However, the showers are over and done with. Now, there could be a sprinkle, maybe a little bit of drizzle here or there. But as far as any rain goes, it is now out of the TV9 viewing area. There you see live on our Cedar Rapids North City Cam on the Mount Mercy campus. Some of the lights kind of being visible there in the air, indicating there is some moisture out there. So some patches of fog are a possibility later on. We have temperatures largely in the 40s still at this point. It's been a slow fall this evening. Decorah has dipped down to 39 degrees. Winds are much lighter now than what they were earlier on, around 10 miles per hour or less. As far as what we're watching, again, those showers are done. They're out of here, and that is going to be the case throughout the overnight hours. This weekend is going to be warmer. In fact, we're looking at upper 60s this weekend. That'll be the mildest weather we've had this year. We are watching next Wednesday and Thursday. There is a larger system moving across the Midwest that may be bringing us some rain and potentially some snow to the Midwest. We'll be watching that over the coming days, but it's a week out, so there's still a lot that can change with that. In the meantime, for the overnight hours, we have a cloudy sky and perhaps some patches of fog that'll be with us to start the day tomorrow as well. I'll have the latest view of Pinpoint Futurecast coming up in just a little bit. Beth?
Thank you, Justin. Otis Road in Cedar Rapids is back open after floodwater made the road unstable. City workers have improved the pavement, so now it is drivable again. This road becomes flooded often when the Cedar River rises. It'll be several more weeks before water will be safe to drink in areas that Missouri River flooding affected. People in western Iowa and Nebraska have gotten used to boiling water before drinking it and relying on bottled water. Crews are working to repair the damage. In some cases, they have to use a boat to reach wells. In the meantime, Glenwood, Iowa and Peru, Nebraska say workers are trucking in thousands of gallons of water a day. You can see the levels of eastern Iowa rivers by heading to our website. We are tracking 10 rivers. You can find those at kcrg.com/rivers. Police say it was a 23-year-old Ohio man who posed as a missing Illinois boy yesterday. And this isn't his first run-in with the law. ABC's Maggie Rulli shows us how the family is reacting after having false hope.
More heartbreak for the family of Timothy Pitson. A DNA test confirms the mysterious young man who showed up in Kentucky claiming to be their missing child is actually a 23-year-old man from Ohio, Brian Michael Rinney.
It's devastating.
Yeah.
It's like reliving that day all over again. And Timothy's father is devastated once again.
Prison records in Ohio show a man by the name of Brian Michael Rinney served time for burglary and vandalism.
Oh, it's kind of back to ground zero for us. You know, kind of reliving everything that did happen and renewing the loss one more time.
Since 2011, Pitts' family has searched for the little boy who vanished with his mother when he was just 6 years old. Days later, she committed suicide, leaving a chilling note saying Timothy was safe but would never be found.
He's with a 14-year-old juvenile, male white, says he was kidnapped from somewhere.
Then 8 years later, a potential lead. This young man in a hoodie shows up in a northern Kentucky neighborhood, claiming to be Timothy Pitson, saying he had just escaped his kidnappers and was begging for help. Despite that false hope, Timothy's family says they will never stop looking for him.
We know that you are out there somewhere, Tim, and we will never stop looking for you, praying for you, and loving you.
The family says that if there's one good thing that could come out of this heartbreak, it's that they hope it leads to more awareness about suicide and missing children. Maggie Rulli, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Rennie's brother says he's been getting into trouble since he was a teenager. Jonathan Rennie says Brian even used his name and social security number during a traffic stop. He hasn't talked to his brother in at least 4 years, but he says he hopes he can straighten his life out.
I hope he gets help. I also hope he goes to prison for this, or at least an institution, but I have no idea.
Rennie says his brother lives with several disorders, including Asperger's syndrome, ADHD, and bipolar disorder. He says Brian was getting help, but then stopped. Officers had to use Narcan on a fellow Dubuque police officer when he got sick while searching a home on the job. Officers spotted drug paraphernalia inside an apartment at 2095 Central Avenue when responding to a domestic assault call. They got a warrant to search the apartment for drugs. That's when police say an officer came into contact with a powdery substance and began to lose consciousness. Officers used Narcan and then sent the officer to the hospital. Narcan reverses the effects of an opioid overdose. Later in the night, a hazmat truck was on the scene.
Obviously, that's the concern, but until it's tested and we know for sure, we won't be able to say.
The department sent a sample of that substance for testing, and Mesrich says they should get a report in a few days. By the end of next year, the Duane Arnold nuclear power plant in Palo will shut down for good. The decommissioning of that plant is slowly happening right now. NextEra Energy Resources purchased the plant from Alliant Energy and held this event tonight to share with the community what that decommissioning will look like. Now, Duane Arnold is Iowa's only nuclear power plant, and NextEra has to provide a plan to the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission that includes how it will clean up and make the plant safe after it closes.
They'll shut down the reactor and they'll remove all fuel from the reactor. At that point, they have some options, whether they'll immediately remediate the site and remove radioactive material from the site, or whether they'll put the site into what's called safe store, which is a long-term storage of the plant.
Closing the plant means 500 jobs will be lost. NextEra says some of those people will likely stay on to fulfill the plant's cleanup and future termination activities. The Marion City Council would like to lower the speed limit on part of Highway 13. The main motivator for this proposed slowdown is nearby development. Marion cites growth in the area of Highway 151 and Highway 13 and the Prospect Meadows baseball complex that will open later this spring. Right now, the speed limit is 50 miles per hour. And tonight, the Marion City Council voted to formally ask the DOT to reduce the speed, but didn't specify what that speed should be.
In the past several years, we've had comments from people who live out that way, trying to turn from intersections that don't have traffic lights. And they are concerned that they're going to have an accident if they haven't had an accident.
The last time the speed was decreased on Highway 13 in Marion was in 2017. Tomorrow is the second legislative funnel deadline. We'll take a look at which bills made it through. And University of Iowa researchers think they've come up with a device that could help farmers get better yields.